You've been taught to run. Run for success. Run for money. Run for approval. Run for your future. But you were never told that the very act of chasing is the energy that repels what you want most. You chase money because you believe it's separate from you. You pursue abundance because you think it's out there. And so your mind becomes a hunter, your energy becomes desperation, and your soul forgets that it was never meant to chase. It was meant to attract. Money is not earned through obsession. It's aligned through identity. So breathe. Let go of the urge to run. Because this is how money comes when you stop chasing it. Money doesn't speak the language of need. It responds to certainty, to calm, to alignment, to the one who already feels like the version of themselves that has it. The universe is not a place of hustle. It's a mirror of frequency. And if your vibration is built on fear, urgency, lack, and trying to prove your worth, then the reflection will always be resistance. You don't get what you try to force. You get what you allow. The truth is this: the wealthiest people you'll ever meet aren't obsessed with money. They're obsessed with their identity. They've chosen to believe something that most people never do. I already am. They don't need more. They expect more. They don't hope for success. They embody success. They don't chase money. Money moves toward them, not because of what they do, but because of who they are when they're doing it. You were programmed to believe that more effort, more money, that if you just grind harder, wake up earlier, work longer, you'll break through. But that model was built on fear. It was built by people who believed they had to earn their right to be wealthy. By people who didn't know that identity comes before outcome. Listen closely. When you chase money, you affirm that it is separate from you. When you align with wealth, you collapse the gap between wanting and having. This is not motivational fluff. This is energetic law. Your subconscious mind does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are, being on a vibrational level. So if you wake up every day feeling behind, if you spend all day trying to get money to notice you, if your thoughts are built on lack, need, and urgency, then your field becomes a magnet for the very things you don't want: delay, resistance, exhaustion, disappointment. Money is not emotional. It's not personal. It's not judging you. It's simply responding to the signal you are sending. You are either radiating, "I am already wealthy," or "I still don't have it." And the field is always listening. The problem is that most people are chasing money with a mindset of rejection. They are trying to be chosen by clients, by the algorithm, by the system. But you don't need to be chosen. You need to choose yourself. You don't need to prove. You need to align. You don't need to perform. You need to become. You don't need to wait. You need to activate. Money comes when you stop seeing it as something separate. It comes when you stop searching and start embodying. It flows when your thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs are synchronized with the frequency of already having it. And here's the secret most never learn. It's not about having more. It's about being more. When you become the person who already lives in overflow, who already expects wealth, who already feels financially supported by the universe, Then, money shows up to match your belief, not to reward your hustle, but to reflect your identity. Let's rewire this now. Let's drop the chase. Let's exit the loop. Let's begin a new pattern. Because once you stop chasing money, you'll notice something strange. It starts showing up in unexpected ways, from directions you never imagined, through people you didn't know, with ease you thought was impossible. Why? Because you became the version of you that no longer needs to chase. You became the one who receives. Chasing is not just a physical act, it's an energetic signature. Every time you feel like you're not enough yet, every time you try to prove your worth to the universe, every time you obsessively check your bank account, hoping it changed, you're reinforcing a single signal. I don't have it yet. And that message gets broadcasted louder than your affirmations, louder than your vision board, louder than your goals. Because the field doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. You see, chasing creates tension. It places the thing you desire out there and keeps you here, always trying to reach it. It becomes a game of pursuit, and the prize keeps moving further away. This is why people burn out. They work harder. They meditate more. They visualize longer. And still, nothing changes. Because they're still chasing. They're still trying. They're still vibrating lack. What does chasing really say to the universe? It says, I believe I'm not enough yet. I believe money is scarce. I believe success is a fight. I believe I have to earn the right to receive. But here's the truth no one told you. You don't need to earn what's already yours. You don't need to beg for what's already available. You don't need to prove anything to be supported by life. The energy of chasing blocks the flow. It tightens your nervous system. It clouds your intuition. It disconnects you from the quantum field. It makes you act from fear instead of alignment. It makes you speak from anxiety instead of clarity. It makes you build from force instead of resonance. And eventually, it makes you exhausted. Because no matter how much effort you give, it never feels enough. That's the loop. That's the trap. But the moment you stop chasing, something shifts. Your body softens. Your breath deepens. Your energy opens. Your timeline relaxes. You become available for miracles. You become visible to opportunities. You become magnetic to abundance. Because now, you're no longer vibrating, I need. You're vibrating, I trust. And trust is the access point. Trust doesn't mean sitting around and doing nothing. Trust means moving from certainty, not fear. It means taking action as the version of you who knows it's already done. It means investing, speaking, creating, showing up from the identity of the one who already lives in wealth. That's the real work. That's the true inner shift. It's not about working harder. It's about becoming aligned. Let's go deeper. Have you ever noticed that when you truly don't care about something, it suddenly happens? You let go of the outcome. You stop obsessing. You stop trying to control. And the thing shows up. That's not coincidence. That's energetic law in action. Because in that moment, you dropped resistance. You stepped out of the way. You stopped chasing. And what you stopped chasing finally felt safe to come in. Most people never manifest what they want because they are holding it hostage. They are gripping the desire so tightly that it cannot breathe. They say, I want it so bad, but their energy says, I don't believe I'll ever get it unless I push harder. And the universe hears that, not their words. This is why the chase is dangerous, because it creates internal conflict, wanting versus believing. And the universe always reflects belief. So what happens when you stop chasing? You collapse the timeline. You remove the distance between you and the thing. You stop being the seeker and become the receiver. You stop trying to get rich and become the person wealth moves toward. Because wealth isn't seeking the hardest worker, it's seeking the clearest signal. The one whose thoughts, emotions, and identity are congruent with abundance. That's who money trusts. That's who money serves. When you stop chasing, your field recalibrates. You begin to see things you couldn't see before. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly reveal themselves. Ideas come through. Support shows up. Solutions appear. Why? Because you're no longer radiating desperation. You are no longer clogging your field with fear. You are no longer confusing the quantum. Now, you're still. You're clear. You're receptive. You're aligned. And in that state, things begin to move. This is how money really comes. Not through panic, not through chasing, not through scarcity, masked as motivation, but through embodiment. Money comes when you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to money. When you respect money, not worship it. When you invite it, not beg for it. When you expect it, not fear it. That's when the shift happens. That's when the flow opens. That's when you become dangerous. In the best way. Because now you're not chasing. You're commanding. There's a secret most people never learn. Money doesn't come to you. It comes to your frequency. It's not about asking for more. It's about becoming the version of you that already has it. Because money doesn't recognize effort. It recognizes energy. The version of you who already lives in overflow, already speaks differently, thinks differently, moves differently, decides differently. And until you become that version, you'll always be the one who waits. But the moment you become, you no longer wait. You align, you command, you receive. What is a wealth frequency? It's not positive thinking. It's not visualizing cash. It's not repeating affirmations while still feeling broke inside. Wealth frequency is a full body embodiment. It's a deep rooted belief that I am supported always. I live in overflow. I attract money by being me. I don't chase. I magnetize. It's a calm certainty that doesn't flinch when things look slow. It's a deep knowing that money responds to who I am, not what I do. You've been trying to attract money with broken identity code, saying, I want more, but feeling, I'm still behind, doing, let me prove I'm worthy, but believing, it's probably not going to work. That's misalignment. And misalignment creates static in your field. It confuses the quantum because your words say one thing, but your vibration says the opposite. And the field always answers the truth behind your energy, not the mask you wear. So how do you shift this? You stop chasing the outcome and start aligning with the identity. You ask, what would the wealthy version of me think today? What would they believe about this situation? What would they feel in their body? What would they say no to? What would they walk away from? What would they expect? And then you act from that, not as a performance, but as a truth, not to manipulate the universe, but because you realize you are the universe. This is how wealth frequency works. You stop being a signal of wanting, you become a signal of having. You don't affirm, I am rich, just to trick your mind. You speak it because you finally remember who you are. You shift your posture, you walk slower, you breathe deeper, you let go of panic. You start trusting your decisions. You stop asking for permission. You live as if, until as if becomes as is, and eventually it will. Becoming the frequency of money means you no longer beg for proof. You let results catch up to the version you've already become. You no longer argue with reality. You bend it. You no longer ask, how long will it take? Because you already know. Time bends to belief, and your belief is solid. You know what's coming. You feel it. And so, it comes. Not because you chased it, but because you matched it. Money responds to resonance, not resistance, to ease, not urgency, to power, not panic. The wealth frequency doesn't come from how hard you work. It comes from how aligned you are. And alignment is not something you think. It's something you become. The version of you that has it all doesn't live in fear. They don't shrink. They don't wait. They don't apologize for their desires. They move with elegance. They speak with clarity. They operate from knowing. You can tap into that version right now. It's not somewhere far away. It's right behind the version you've been pretending to be. All it takes is one choice: to remember, to drop the mask, to vibrate truth. Stop asking, how do I get there? Ask, who do I need to become so that there comes to me? Because in the field of frequency, you don't chase the goal chases you. When you match the signature, it finds you. That's how you see people manifest overnight. They didn't create it. They finally stopped resisting it. They dropped the chase. They dropped the doubt. They dropped the delay. And they aligned. Money doesn't have an opinion of you. It doesn't judge your past. It doesn't punish your mistakes. It doesn't care if you've failed before. It simply reflects the current version of you that's broadcasting. So if you want more money, don't run after it. Become the one who no longer needs to run. Become the one who attracts, who holds, who multiplies. Become the frequency that money trusts. And watch what happens next. You've been trained to chase, but now you've remembered the truth. Money was never something to be hunted. It was something waiting to be received, not by the version of you trying to survive, but by the version of you brave enough to receive without guilt, brave enough to be seen, to be supported, to be celebrated. And that's what receiving really is: an energetic permission slip to stop struggling and start allowing. Receiving begins when you choose to believe one powerful truth: I no longer need to suffer to be worthy of wealth. Let that land. You no longer need to hustle yourself into exhaustion. You no longer need to earn love through burnout. You no longer need to wait for some external event to prove your value. You are enough. Now, right now. And because of that, you are ready. Not someday. Not when things are perfect. Not when your bank account looks better. Now. The door has always been open. You were just busy knocking on the wrong ones. The door of approval, the door of validation, the door of external success. But money doesn't come from chasing outer things. It flows from your relationship with the inner self. So pause, take a breath, ask yourself, am I ready to receive not just money, but ease? Am I willing to stop fighting and start flowing? Am I ready to be the version of me that already has it? Receiving is not passive. It's a sacred act of power. It's when you look at your past pain and say, I still choose to open. It's when you look at your fear and say, I still choose to trust. It's when you feel like nothing's working, but you move like everything already is. That's how the quantum responds. Not to your doubt, but to your certainty. Not to your strategy, but to your embodiment. So, how do you open the flow permanently? You stop seeking evidence and start creating it. You stop waiting for proof and start walking in truth. You stop obsessing over the timeline and start aligning with timelessness. You wake up and move like someone who knows the universe is already orchestrating everything for their wealth. You think like a millionaire, speak like a millionaire, decide like a millionaire, even before the millions show up. Because the frequency comes first, the results always follow. When you enters the frequency of receiving, everything changes. You no longer look at your bank account with fear. You bless what's there and command what's coming. You no longer shrink in conversations about money. You expand into them with grace. You no longer ask, can I afford it? You ask, is this aligned with the wealthy version of me? Because now you don't identify with lack anymore. You identify with overflow, and overflow responds to those who make space for it. Do you know why some people never get rich? Not because they're lazy, not because they're unlucky, not because they're cursed, because they never truly believed they were allowed to be wealthy. They were still trying to deserve it, still trying to earn it, still waiting for someone to say, now you're good enough. But here's your permission. You're already enough. And that's all wealth needed to hear. So from now on, you don't chase. You anchor, you align, you receive. You speak wealth over your life. You walk like you carry a divine inheritance. You move through the world as someone who knows. I don't pursue, I attract. Not because I'm entitled, but because I'm tuned in to the truth that the money I desire is already on its way. Let's repeat that. I don't pursue, I attract, I don't beg, I embody, I don't chase, I channel. The universe is not waiting to test me, it's waiting to match me. And now I match the version of me who no longer doubts, who no longer fears, who no longer seeks. I match the one who holds, who expands, who receives. This is how money comes, not with force, but with flow, not through sacrifice, but through surrender, not through panic, but through presence. You are the portal now. You are the magnet. You are the answer to your own request. And the moment you stopped chasing, you started becoming. The signal has been sent. The field is listening. And everything you've ever wanted is already responding. Now walk in it. Now live it. Now receive it